It's my feel-good breakfast show.
A very good morning and welcome back. It is your feel-good breakfast show, Expresso on SABC3. Now, today is a very special day. It is the 3rd of December, which is the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. And South Africa has also followed suit in this practice and declared today the National Day of Persons with Disabilities. And the country also has gone forth and signed and ratified the United Nations Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities, which means that we, as a country, do bind ourselves to abide by international standards that promote and protect the human rights of persons with disabilities. We've also got the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, which further, I think, helps us as a country to understand or go forth in understanding the challenges that face people with disabilities and, of course, promoting and providing environments that cater for their needs as well. So it's a very, very special day for us to think about and to, I think, for each of us to do what we can out there to not only respect persons with disabilities, but also see them as members of our community that contribute in a great deal.
Well, it changes, Katlego, just the fact that you are talking about it. One of the things that we talk about on the show as well is 16 days of gender activism. And with this happening, communities are encouraged to not only bring an end to violence, but also to educate and to support women and children. It seems like gender inequality is a year-long challenge, and it's one of the things that we'll keep on speaking about on the show. In fact, this issue was one of the main talking points of the 2014 One Young World Summit. And Tenji sat down with a filmmaker, her name is Maya SANBAR, to chat about a journey in film, but also how she's encouraging and inspiring women and children.
Maya SANBAR Jamo is a Palestinian Lebanese-born filmmaker who uses cinema to cross communication boundaries across the globe. She's worked with UNESCO and Mother Teresa in the past, and most recently appeared as a counselor at the 2014 One Young World Summit, where Tenji met with her.
So you have a degree in law and diplomacy, and you have working experience in advertising and telecommunications. How on earth did you find film, and what inspired you to pursue it full-time?
Film is something that I've been passionate about since I was a child. I was the strange little child who loved black and white films on TV, where her brothers and sisters loved cartoons. I mean, I loved cartoons, don't get me wrong, but when I had a black and white film on, I would just be immersed in it. And all my friends thought I was very strange for that. So I think from a young age I loved cinema and the art, the craft of cinema and the feelings that you can get across through it. And it's a certain language that really crosses boundaries and cultures on many levels.
So to what extent does your experience and your educational background inform the stories that you choose to tell?
That's a good question, actually. I haven't really thought about that, but it's quite true that whether it's my study of law or my experience of the corporate world, they actually do help me choose the projects that I work on, because I think unconsciously I'm quite conscious of what will be watchable and what will people want to see. And I'm a firm believer in making a film. It's great when you can make a film just to make a film for yourself and for it to exist. But it's very important for me also that people go and see this film. So I try to always choose subjects that are relevant to both me and current and the air around me, that people can relate to and enjoy the experience of it.
SANBAR debuted on the film scene with an independently produced documentary called Goal Dreams, which follows the Palestinian football team's challenging journey to the 2006 FIFA World Cup qualifiers. Goal Dreams was the successful start to a decade-long career as a filmmaker.
So I think a lot of the voices coming out of your films are quite underrepresented voices, if you think about religious or racial minorities. And a lot of the time, those identities suffer from this danger of a single story. They're only painted one way in mainstream media. At what point do you think films like this will move from being part of a niche, somewhat peripheral market, to being a healthy part of a global mainstream industry?
A film that covers minorities and that deals with minority issues is and will be relevant to broader audiences as long as it's a really good film and as long as it touches on basic human elements. There's no point making a film about an individual story that's only relevant to that person. I mean, there's a point to it, but it's not a point that is going to be shared with a broad audience, which is your question is, when is it going to be shared with a broader audience? It is shared when people can relate to it, and you can't force people to relate to things. So you can't force a subject that is about one individual minority to be relevant or interesting to everybody else, you know? I think it's your duty as a filmmaker to make that story relevant to a broader audience.
As an executive producer, Maya oversaw the 2014 release of The Narrow Frame of Midnight, which follows the tumultuous journey of an orphaned Moroccan girl who's at the mercy of a petty criminal. The film is directed by Tala Hadid, another dynamic female voice in the industry. At the One Young World Summit, Maya discussed issues of opportunities and the portrayal of women on screen.
I would say that media is an opportunity for women. People like to see women on screen, and it's important that women are on screen, that they show different sides of themselves, and they have to kind of beat the system.
So of the 19 films that were in the running for the big prize at the Cannes Film Festival, only 2 of those were by female directors. Now, it's quite clear that women are still underrepresented in film, especially behind the camera. What do you think are the contributing factors to this, and how is it that we can change that?
Women have made some great films, and they don't get always the opportunity to do so for many reasons, not only because the industry is quite male-dominated. If you, as a woman, if you believe that you can do it, you just go out and do it. And I think what's lacking isn't so much the bias against women themselves, it's the women themselves believing that they can do it.
Through her developmental work in various communities across continents and her illuminating films, Maya SANBAR's fruitful career reminds us that storytelling truly can affect positive change in a brave young world.